Good afternoon. This is Yawer Nabil of Cambrian Explosion, bringing you another exciting post-summer episode. We'll have some couple of pretty interesting things to talk about today.
Hello, hello, hello. Yes, how have you been, Yawer?
I'm good, Nabil, and yourself?
I have been great, and I had a amazing past week where I enjoyed some of the amazing events that Toronto has to offer. Um, and I know that you also enjoyed some of those as well.
Yeah, we had a couple of very interesting events that we went to. We went to the Toronto Fan Expo and saw some very interesting, events and things there. I got a signed poster from one of my favorite comic artists, Tom Grummett, of Superman fame. Yesterday we went to Jimmy Dore's Toronto show, and that was definitely a new experience for me. Nabil, you're the one who kind of um, floated the idea, and I said yeah because I was just kind of curious to see what what he would say, but it was definitely interesting and I think worth the discussion.
Yeah. So just putting some disclaimers out there. I myself have followed Jimmy Dore's show regularly, and why don't I don't agree with everything that he has to say. I do agree with many of the things that he has to say, and they do form some of my opinions in both politics and technology. Uh, so I suggested, because I thought it would be a very interesting discussion for us to have um, afterwards. And here we are. We're going to discuss some of the topics that he covered. So yeah, I'd love to get your input on uh, what you thought, how was it, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I so this is going to be an interesting discussion. I haven't been a Jimmy Dore follower. I've heard of the guy. I've seen his YouTube shorts a couple of times. Not shorts, I mean like shorter length videos. Excuse me. And sorry. So I never like purposely went out and sought out his videos and watched them. I kind of saw that he has this thing where he does commentary, kind of like a Young Turks kind of a format, maybe like I think a podcast with a couple of his few of his colleagues, and they do this kind of a discussion thing, talk show.
Mhm.
So yesterday was my first time actually hearing like more expanded thoughts from this guy. So it's very interesting. He, you know, styles is comes across as a free thinker, right? Like anti-establishment, or if not that, maybe like somebody who likes to question authority and stuff like that. So in many aspects, of course that's a good thing. Like people should question authority, people should question many things, but I could feel that he, like, to me, and I don't know if this is my own biases, but his messages, many of his uh, points seemed to be a mix of right wing and left wing talking points. It was a very interesting. He seems to be a blend of both sides, and it makes me wonder maybe if the left wing right wing gap is not so much a spectrum or a straight line, but really more of a like a circle, like a circle that closes on itself, and you have people and points on the left side and people and points on the right side, and somehow they both agree on certain things, like for example government overreach, paying a living wage to the working classes, to the laborers, and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely many interesting points. Uh, to me, also, like, and whenever you have a performer like this guy is, he makes his living off, YouTube and other algorithms which promote his videos. He has to do shows. He does these things. You always kind of wonder, and of course, this is not unique to him. This is for anybody who's doing this kind of thing. Russell Brand, Joe Rogan, all of these people who do commentary are like this to a certain extent. You have to think about, like, to what extent are the things that they're talking about, are they actually sincerely held beliefs that they themselves are the core part of their value system, or are they talking about what people want to hear? Like,
Yeah.
people want to hear about that vaccines are being forced on us by mega corporation pharmaceutical companies, and the pharmaceutical companies are evil, and there was a huge cheering from the crowd when he said this. And so that's like, you would think that that seems like a right-wing talking point, but then later he goes on to say that the real the we're fighting, in North America, we're fighting these fake identity politics wars, when the real war is, the working class against the ruling classes, right?
Yeah.
So that's a real battle to be fought, and nobody is thinking about that. But and then there was huge cheers for that point as well. So I found it a very interesting blend of both sides.
That's very interesting. And I think that one of the aspects of it of Jimmy Dore. This, by the way, one of the aspects about Jimmy Dore that I do appreciate as well. And it's not about him knowing every point, but rather his openness to actually go listen to points of view that um, are counter to him, and just listen to those people. And then if you follow his show, there have been and I think, for example, the RFK interview was interesting from that perspective. So on the Palestinian-Israel issue, RFK and Jimmy Dore had completely different points of view. He listened to RFK. He pushed back against it as well as best as he could. But at the end of the day, he went like, "Hey, I'm not the best person to push back." He was willing to listen to RFK as well and give him the time to say what he wanted to say. Now, again, I don't agree with every issue on every topic with Jimmy Dore, but this is one of the things that I find interesting, this particular aspect, um, where there is a growing discontent with current mainstream. We've discussed this before as well, you and I, that there's a growing discontent with what news sources are available and what news sources are trustworthy. You know, um, this kind of artist, because he's not a new. He doesn't say he's a news person. He says he's a comedian. So he's serving a market, the comedy market, and within that a particular niche. He's making fun of particular topics for a particular niche, but it has resonance. And the thing that I see is it's a growing resonance within North America.
Yeah, so he touched on these points, right? Like, he said that people are making fun of us for saying that we should do our own research.
Yeah.
Like, doing your own research, that's used to be called reading. Like, people don't want you to read anymore. Like, what do you why are you trying to read books? There's nothing you can't learn anything from books. Everything's already been learned. Jokes like that. But I felt like those were kind of like non sequiturs, or they weren't really like honest jokes that hit the actual point, because they've seemed to deflect from the actual point. Because nobody's saying that don't do your own research, but what people are saying is don't do research where you go into these like conspiracy theory sites where people claim that the vaccines have some poison chemicals or whatever inside it, and these are backed by nothing but like people's wild fantasies and viral posts on social media. That kind of research is what people what are often doing when they say do your own research, and that's not actually research. That's just like going into a conspiracy theory hole.
I think that actually ends up becoming an issue of. So there are many things that the media states, which, keep in mind, when you say mainstream media, they also have a social media presence. They post things over there as well. And I'll give you a very simple example. Anthony Blinken recently said that Pakistan is going to have free and fair elections. That's bullshit. The whole media has been saying this after, because here's the thing, I'm from that country, and I can tell you that the person who is the most popular in Pakistan is in jail right now. 70% of people want Imran Khan to be the leader there. Now, mainstream media says there's going to be free and fair election in Pakistan. Now, there is no way I can trust the mainstream media on this, right? Then it comes down to where do you go? And then all of social media gets lumped into alternative media, whereas that's not the case. It's a all of social media is a huge number of people. There's subsegments in that. There are some very established and good alternative media sites. There's also some very wacky stuff that happens out there.
But Nabil, the nature of social media is algorithmically driven to generate ads using clickbait, which is almost always
that's the nature of some social media.
That's the nature of all social media, Nabil.
No, that's not
Facebook, Twitter, these are the major social medias, and they both work this way.
But there are other platforms out there who are...
None of those platforms are too small to matter. They're not significant enough to matter. Nobody's heard of these platforms. The social media platforms that people know about, Facebook and Twitter.
You have to understand that when Jimmy Dore says mainstream media, Facebook and Twitter are included in mainstream media. They're not. They are social media that are owned by the mainstream, and we know this because there's so many bots on Twitter, and when you actually go dig into, it takes money to run a bot.
Yeah, but I'm not really talking about who is owned by what. I'm talking about when people are going to do their own research. When I say they fall into a social media conspiracy hole, they fall into Facebook and Twitter viral conspiracy tweets or posts, which rise to the top because of algorithms which are designed to spread more viral and more negative news.
So the question is, where should they go?
So exactly. So my question is that why not listen to people who are actual experts? Like if you're going to, if you want to find out about climate change and climate science, would you listen to climate scientists or would you listen to some whatever media or whatever random person put up some posts on their website?
The problem is, and that's the thing, when you talk about people who know stuff, right, or the experts, the actual experts are not on mainstream media. Okay, they don't pop up on an example of this is, for example, Sanjay Gupta, who was the doctor in residence in CNN, and then when he went to the Joe Rogan show, he's supposed to be an expert. He didn't know anything. And the question really becomes then, if the experts are not going to be on mainstream media and they're not going to be on social media, how do you go find the experts?
Yeah, that's a good question. I to be honest with you, I don't have an answer for that.
How are the experts supposed to spread their knowledge base?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. There will always be people who, will be trustworthy. There will be people who won't be trustworthy, and you have to kind of that's the research process. You have to find people who are trustworthy and who have verifiable facts.
So can we take this way, that when Jimmy Dore says, hey, go read and research, then maybe what he's trying to say is go talk to the experts yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. You can research who are people who are studying these subjects at universities, who's getting research funding, who's getting grants. You can write emails to these people. You can ask them questions. There's no shortage of ways to communicate with actual experts. You don't have to rely on anybody to find the experts for you.
So I think that's a great takeaway for, let's say, part one of this. I think there's
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot more I can say about this,
there's more
about
to
Jimmy Dore's points. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
there's more to unpack. So we're gonna call that it for part one. In part two, what I would want to do with you is actually go a bit deeper on specific issues and
Yeah.
your point of view on those.
Yeah.
And that's going to get posted. We do it bi-weekly. So the week after this one, you'll find part two where we dive deeper onto specific topics, such as what Jimmy Dore has to say about COVID and vaccines,
Mask mandates. Absolutely.
mask mandates, and so on and so forth. And again, my point of view is going to be to hear what Yawer has to say about the opinions of Jimmy Dore, because there are some that I agree with and some that I disagree with, but I'm more aligned towards what Jimmy Dore has to say. So
Yeah.
it'll be an interesting discussion.
It definitely will. Stay tuned for part two.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.